we go back to the land of Goshen. The Israelites are living there, and a generation after Joseph, there comes up a Pharaoh that does not know Joseph, and so he puts the Hebrews in slavery in this area. And in the land of Goshen, just a few years ago, there was a papyrus that was found, and this papyrus, from what they can make out in it, they know that it is a document concerning the transfer of slaves between two Egyptians. And the names on this papyrus, which they have dated to around 3,600 years ago, most of the names are Hebrew. They are Hebrew slaves, and this was found in the land of Goshen. This is Saqqara, Egypt. This doorway right here, that is the way that you get into this city. Now imagine that the city is completely walled and the step pyramid is inside of this walled city. The only way in to this city is to walk through it because the doorway is just big enough for one person to get in. And then as you step in, to your left, there is a cubicle which is about twice the size of the screen that you see before you. It is about a 9 by 12 room cubicle. And right next to it is another cubicle, and it goes on for about 20 of these cubicles. And you have just enough room to walk down and stand before a table or desk at each one of these. And this is where the travelers from other nations would come in. They would go to the desk where their language was spoken. They would pay, and they would receive the bags to continue out that pathway and go out to the grain bins to purchase their grains from Joseph. Right here, as we look down upon it, we see the step pyramid. This is what the Bible calls the city of Sukkot, or tent city, Saqqara. And on your left-hand side are huge, huge grain bins. These grain bins that you see before you are 50 feet across. They are 90 feet long, and they are over 100 feet deep, and then they empty into grain bins which are lower than they are. As you look at this photograph and the next one, you see that we have a stair that goes from the top all the way down. This is not OSHA approved. And after 3,500 years, it is in bad condition, but it goes all the way down 100 feet down to the bottom of this. You see that most of this grain bin is filled with debris because we have buildings that were built over top of it as part of the whole structure that have now collapsed and are down inside. There's a row of these grain bins there. As I have, what they are, they have no idea. Perhaps there's some kind of burial chamber. Oh, yeah, right. A burial chamber, unlike anything else in the land of Egypt, makes absolutely no sense at all, but they certainly cannot be the grain bins that Joseph built, because Israelites were never in Egypt according to modern Egyptology. They have to deny it. Right behind the grain bins, however, are the executive offices. And on the walls of the executive offices, you see the man on the throne, Imhotep, in Egyptian, or Yosef, the scholar, the scribe. You see people bringing in goods to him one way and leaving with goods going the other way. Now, let's talk about what happened after Joseph. The Israelites were enslaved. One of these slaves was hidden away in the Nile River, and the daughter of Pharaoh found him. His name was Moses. She named him Moses, which means to draw out of the water. Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh. When Moses was older, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, and he killed the Egyptian. He knew that Pharaoh would find out about it, and so it says that Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. He left the capital and he took the southern trade route. If he took the northern trade route, it would have taken him up into the land of the Philistines and the Canaanites. However, the southern route took him down along this, what is now the Suez Canal, across the Sinai Peninsula, and then around the northern end of the Yam Suf, or the Reed Sea, down into the land of Midian, where he became a Midianite shepherd in the tents of Yithro, married Zipporah, Yithro's daughter, and it was during that 40 years that he came across a bush that burned but was not consumed. He heard the voice of the Almighty, who spoke to him from Mount Sinai and told him that he would deliver the children of Israel as the promise of the Almighty was made to Abraham. He would be the deliverer, and he would lead the children of Abraham back to that very mountain in the land of Midian to worship him. So, that's the route that he traveled. Now, let's see what happened in this Exodus when Moses went back. And after a series of plagues, finally he was given permission by Pharaoh for all of Israel to leave Egypt and travel 3 days into the desert. That's all we asked for. 3 days into the desert, but we had to take everything with us, which looked a little suspicious to begin with, I'll admit. But all we asked for was 3 days. And it says the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot, about 600,000 men on foot that were men, beside the children. Ramesses is up to the north, and they traveled down to Sukkot. Why did they all travel down to Sukkot? Ramses to Sukkot. Because it says Moses took the bones of Joseph with him. And they took their journey from Sukkot. They went down to the step pyramid where the bones of Joseph were entombed in the very city where he built to distribute the grain, and he became the savior of the entire land of Egypt.